All right, let's talk about Christopher Nolan's Inception. It's one of those movies that has absolutely fascinated and, let's be honest, confused audiences for years. So today, we're going to dive deep and unpack all the layers of this absolute masterpiece. I mean, that quote kind of says it all, right? On the surface, yeah, it's a super cool, mind-bending heist movie about stealing secrets from people's dreams. But if you look just a little deeper, it's actually this incredible story about guilt, about memory, and about one man just trying to get home. And it all builds to this one huge question about reality itself. So let's meet our guy, Dom Cobb. He's a thief, but he's not stealing your wallet or your car. No, he's an elite extractor who steals ideas. He uses this wild shared dream technology to literally go inside someone's subconscious and pull out their most valuable secrets. But then, Cobb gets an offer for a totally different kind of job. A job that everyone says is impossible. Not stealing an idea, but planting one. It's called Inception. And the deal? A powerful businessman named Saito will wipe Cobb's criminal record clean, letting him finally go home to his kids, if he can pull off this one last impossible job. So what's the mission? Simple, but not easy. The target is Robert Fisher, who's about to inherit this massive energy empire. The goal is to plant one single idea in his head, to break up his father's company. But here's the catch. It can't feel like it was put there. It has to feel like his idea, like a genuine emotional breakthrough. Okay, so to even begin to understand how they plan to pull this off, we have to get a handle on the mechanics of this world. Let's break down the rules of the dream. Nolan lays out some pretty clear ground rules for us. First, dreams can be shared. Multiple people can hook in together. In that dream, you need an architect to design the maze, and you have the subject, the target, whose mind populates it with people. And to get out, you need a kick, that feeling of falling that jolts you awake. We've all had that one, right? And this is where things get really wild and really dangerous. Time dilation. The deeper you go, a dream, within another dream, the slower time moves compared to the level above. So 5 minutes in the real world could be an hour in the first dream, which could be a week in the second, and years in the third. The stakes just keep getting higher and higher with every single layer. But what happens if you die down there, especially under the heavy sedative they need for the mission? Well, you don't wake up. You fall into limbo. It's just raw, shared subconscious space. You can get trapped there for what feels like an eternity, totally lost in your own mind. It is, without a doubt, the most dangerous place to be. And that danger, that idea of being trapped, it brings us right to the emotional heart of the story. Because, you see, Cobb has been to limbo before. And this is where we have to talk about the truth. The truth about his wife, Mal. See, years and years ago, Cobb and Mal were pioneers, experimenting with this dream-sharing tech. But they went too deep. They got lost in limbo. And they lived there, just the two of them, for what felt like 50 years, building a whole world from their memories. To get her to leave, to come back to reality, Cobb did the unthinkable. He performed his first Inception on his own wife. He planted one tiny, simple idea into the deepest corner of her mind. This world is not real. And it worked. It was enough to get them to wake up. But that idea, it was like a virus. It followed her back into the real world. She could never shake the feeling that she was still dreaming, and that the only way to wake up for good was to die. So she did, and she framed Cobb for it, hoping he'd follow her. Now, this whole backstory leads to a super important point, one that's really easy to miss the first time you watch. The Mal we keep seeing throughout the movie, the one who's always sabotaging Cobb's plans, that's not really Mal. She's a projection. She is a living, breathing manifestation of Cobb's own subconscious guilt over her death. So every time she shows up and completely wrecks their plans, it's not some evil spirit haunting him. It's literally Cobb's own mind attacking itself. This projection of Mal, she symbolizes everything that Cobb is running from. It's his guilt, his grief, his absolute refusal to let her go. It's his own self-sabotage and his deepest, darkest fear that maybe, just maybe, he's losing his grip on what's real too. So once you realize that, the whole film kind of changes, doesn't it? The true mission isn't about Robert Fisher's company at all. It's an internal battle. Cobb isn't just fighting off subconscious bodyguards. He is fighting the darkest parts of himself. And that internal battle, well, it all comes to a head in the film's climax, which of course brings us to one of the most debated, argued over, and brilliant endings in all of cinema history. Okay, first, a quick refresher on the totem. It's a small object, something with a unique feel or weight that only the owner knows. You use it to check if you're in someone else's dream. Cobb's is a spinning top, which, by the way, used to be Mal's. The rule is simple. If it spins forever, he's in a dream. If it eventually wobbles and falls, he's in reality. So, after everything they go through, Cobb finally makes it home. He sees his kids. And he puts the top down on the table for one last spin. And this is the ultimate question the movie leaves us hanging on. Does the top fall? Now, what's so cool about this is that the movie gives you evidence for both sides of the argument. On Team Reality, you can clearly see the top wobble a bit. Plus, Cobb isn't wearing his wedding ring, which he always wears in the dream world. But for Team Dream, the whole escape felt a little too perfect, and some people swear the kids look exactly the same age. The truth is, it's meant to be ambiguous. But this leads to a much deeper point. What if we've all been asking the wrong question? Maybe the point isn't whether the top falls. Maybe the real question is, does it even matter? I mean, think about what Cobb does in that final moment. He spins the top, but he doesn't wait to see what happens. He sees his children's faces, and he just walks away to be with them. He chooses his family, his happiness, over the need for absolute certainty. And that, right there, is the real meaning of the movie. Inception isn't just a puzzle about dreams versus reality. It's about the power of ideas. A tiny idea destroyed Mal, but another one gave Fisher a second chance. Cobb's real journey wasn't about escaping a dream. It was about escaping his guilt and finally forgiving himself. His reality became the one he chose to believe in. Which leaves all of us with the film's final, lingering question. It's not just asking about Cobb anymore. It's asking about us. If your happiness, your love, your life, if it all feels real, does it actually matter if it isn't?